Okay, now we just finished with the introduction of the deer into the cave, and we're beginning with this love letter to the sun goddess Gran. And Shawnee says, now this is in the voice, the lowing of the deer, which in Lewis, where he is from, is Lech an Fial. So you can imagine a drone string, on a guitar or something. That's what he's saying. That is the voice of this. So starting right up here, this is what's called a rebus. It means to be the sun, and it says with the Ogham letters around it, Gran, and that has a lot of meaning to it right away. It's also called the hedgehog because it's spiky. Erin shush, and it's also ta feels good. You have a raven's knowledge. It means you are supernatural. So that's what we're reading up here. And the stroke in the center is in Ogham for the letter B, and it means to vow. The vows, Mionek, miod Gran. I will vow to Gran, is what the writer is saying there. And that the image itself is Gran Rek, meaning the image of Gran. And we go here, this is a boat that's overturned. It's painted in yellow. Kuli is the name of the boat. And the yellow is very significant because I've never seen any paintings with yellow in it before. I don't know what the painter made the yellow out of. But the Gaelic for that is Get buyuch le, grant to please you, is what he's saying with this color here. And bon ask kien, that the boat is overturned, means deep love and relation there. And that this here is called branch Ogham. It is the letter R. In relation to the boat, it's a rame, meaning it's an oar or a rudder. But what it means here in this context is run, secret love there. And that these on each side of it here are called footed Ogham. And that is the letter B, and B to stand for Bach. It's a toe pin, an oar guide. So all of this is talking about that this is an intimate, a secret letter that the writer is writing here. Up here, this is this white glow there. This is a promise, a vow, a desire. He says in the idiom, all I have is at stake here. And then here below it, this shape here is lech brick. There's no match for you. And it's outlined in white. And it says, that's jealous. Your shape is peerless. And there's also this blush, this red blush over here. Gris, mean the face of knowledge. And this little thing here, Duig, is means little jewel. That this is a beauty mark. And up here, that shape up there is Curan Kiel. I secretly declare. And I should have started here. This is like what do you call, like a millipede. And in millipede, there's more than one of these painted in this cave, but this one is in relation to this letter, and that's Korkose, which means Adur Goyer, that this is the intercessor. So that in the ancient Celts, rocks and crevices and holes and rocks are all ways into the depth, into her. And so by way of this millipede, the intercessor that she will take this message deep into the goddess in that way. Up here, I should go all the way up here. This is Perunjiam. This is a secret connection. That's what's being said up here. And then we have this little here, another little yellow circle. Boyd, Grand Boyd, this is the golden thun. It says, thanks to her. And Shani said, if you pronounce this in Gaelic, Mo Budi reached ya. But he pronounces it Buid Yakas, which means a Highlander wrote this. Up on top, there is other things painted. That's where the ceiling of the cave is. I don't know what is there. And now, as an example, up in the northwest Oregon, like that, the Columbia River, here I've replicated this here. This is very characteristic of a lot of images, some of them very large, who the local people just refer to as she who watches. And there is Ogam all around it, but nobody knows, how to decipher it. It appears to be a Celtic language that's mixed with something else. And then I want to point out this, I made this replica. This is also a sun rebus, and it is for Bel. Bel is the son of Gran. That is, he is the sunlight of Gran. And this here would spell Bel, and it reads, around like that. So that it says, Bel Med, divine bell at the day of balance. That means that this is for the equinox. What's interesting is it is on a Pictish monument. The monument itself is now located in a museum in Scotland, and that it shows that the Picts also had Gaelic, and that, like Shani himself, in that way. So here is another example, and it is Pictish, but the language is Gaelic. Eastern Scotland formerly is the Pictish country. The Picts are, I would say, the indigenous people of the Highlands. And when the Scots migrated over from Northern Ireland to get out of the way of the incoming Brits, they somehow mixed or merged with the Picts. There's no conflict and so forth. Next, I'm going to show you here, I have two ancient bronzes of the Celtic era. And this is very interesting. While Claudia was playing her whistle, he's playing this whistle here, and this would seem to be from Celtic Iberia. This is a Celtic Iberian. It may be that these were made as votives or shrines or something. And next to it here, this is also ancient. This is more older than 2,000 years old. This is a deer. It's, again, the deer very much a part of the Celts. And again, this is ancient bronze, a votive piece, I would say. And then here, this piece here, this is a museum reproduction, a rather older one, from the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. And I wanted to put a human visage with all of this. And I think that is probably Greco-Roman era, again, 2,000 years older plus, like that. And I think it's a very good visage. Maybe that's how Shani here looked. It's got curly hair, and maybe that's how Shani looked in his younger years. I wouldn't have trouble with that. And also, I just have the plate here. This is the in Athens, the Parthenon, I should say. Now, I have time for this Mary Oliver poem, where she's titled this sometimes. Something came up out of the dark. It wasn't anything I had ever seen before. It wasn't an animal or a flower, unless it was both. Something came up out of the water, a head the size of a cat, but muddy and without ears. I don't know what God is. I don't know what death is. But I believe they have between them some fervent and necessary arrangement. Sometimes melancholy leaves me breathless. Later, I was in a field full of sunflowers. I was feeling the heat of midsummer. I was thinking of the sweet electric drowse of creation when it began to break. In the west, clouds gathered, thunderheads. In an hour, the sky was filled with them, with the sweetness of rain and the blast of lightning, followed by the deep bells of thunder. Water from the heavens, electricity from the source, both of them mad to create something. The lightning brighter than any flower, the thunder without a drowsy bone in its body. Instructions for living a life. Pay attention. Be astonished. Tell about it. 2 or 3 times in my life I discovered love. Each time it seemed to solve everything. Each time it solved a great many things, but not everything. Yet left me as grateful as if it had indeed and thoroughly solved everything. God, rest in my heart and fortify me. Take away my hunger for answers. Let the hours play upon my body. Like the hands of my beloved, let the cat head appear again, the smallest of your mysteries. Some wild cousin of my own blood, probably. Some cousin of my own wild blood, probably, in the black dinner bowl of the pond. Death waits for me, I know it, around one corner or another. This doesn't amuse me, neither does it frighten me. After the rain, I went back into the field of sunflowers. It was cool, and I was anything but drowsy. I walked slowly and listened to the crazy roots in the drenched earth, laughing and growing. Thank you, everybody.